everyone. Welcome to the Sanctuary, a safe space to speak from the heart. I'm your host, Israel, and my guest on the Sanctuary today is advocate, mental health advocate, model, honestly, just a cool, awesome human being, and my friend, Kimberly Tanious. Thanks for coming to the Sanctuary today.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yeah, I remember, you were on Tweet the Leader and you, and it was a wonderful episode. I'm like, okay, I need to talk to this person. I think what stood out for me was how, you know, like you took this adversity, being epileptic, and you turned it into a strength, and you kind of use that into like as a drive for everything you do. So when did you have this diagnosis and how was it for you?
So I was diagnosed at 6 with epilepsy, and when you're a kid, you don't really understand what epilepsy is, right? So growing up, it was like a learning journey for me, right? I asked the doctors a lot of questions. I went through a lot with the doctors and my parents, because talking with doctors is completely different than talking with your immigrant parents about, some medical condition you're not aware of or you don't fully understand. So my life growing up was very different than a lot of others, but also in the same way, I could still be a kid. There was a lot of limits, but I still learned how to be a kid during that time.
Okay. I mean, with that, diagnosis and all the experiences of going to the hospital, surgery, all that stuff, what did you want to be as a kid then?
So it's funny because I wanted to be a singer when I was a kid. I love
Oh wow.
singing and I love dancing. So I was like, I want to be a singer, right? I want to impact people. At like a young age, I just wanted to impact people through like in a big way. And I didn't know how to do that because I was like, there's no way I could be a singer. You can't be a singer and have epilepsy. I mean, like you can, but in the sense where I was like, I don't know how that would work, right? But I always wanted to have like a platform to speak on, and I guess now is I have one, or at least a little bit of one. So I'm just very grateful. And like my dreams when I was a kid was very like I had a various dreams and like of what I wanted to do. It was mostly in entertainment, but at some point I wanted to be a paleontologist or a police officer or a
Wait, police
director. And
officer?
yeah, so I went through a phase where I wanted to be a police officer. I
Oh
don't know, I
wow.
thought it was very heroic, and that's why, right? I mean, like, you know, I learned, I grew. I mean,
Right, right,
we're
right,
here
right,
now.
right, right, right,
Uh,
right.
so
Um,
yeah.
and then I guess, you have as a kid all these things you wanted to do. What did you focus on as you're like, okay, fine, I'm gonna either go study this or go work in this field?
So as I grew older, and it was time for me to graduate high school, you had to start picking like what kind of like programs you want to go into, right? It was very difficult for me. Like I really didn't know like where I belonged or where I felt like I belonged. So
Hmm.
at first, I went to broadcasting and film because I love film. I love the idea of story concepts, all of it, right? And then after a year, because I'm not great at editing, right? I went into criminology because I do love the idea of like nature versus nurture, like how this tends to be, right? And then like
Mm.
how our government and our system works. So that was always a fascination of mine. And then I learned during that time that the professors were telling me, oh, um, there's not really a place for you to go in terms of placement because of your epilepsy. So I was like, bye. Um, and then I went into disability studies. So I actually graduated as a disability support worker, and I use what I was learned and taught on an everyday basis for like anyone and everyone, especially interpersonal skills. That was the biggest one. I think I kind of just went in and was like, I'm gonna make a difference. I don't know how, but I'm going to make a difference. And that's why I say disability support worker.
Mm. That is, I mean, the people that do that work, there has to be a certain amount of compassion that's just innate in you because it's so much work. And, so first, thanks for doing that. But also, were there some difficulties you faced doing disability support work and being epileptic?
So there's a lot of things that I'm not allowed to do according to my doctor, right? Such as like climbing ladders. Like it might seem so mundane and so random, but honestly, it's something I can't do because of complications that it serves, right? So like carrying super heavy things all the time and being overworked and working a certain amount of hours will like make my body exhausted, which eventually will go straight to my head and my brain, and I will just pass out completely. Or
Mm,
I will start having really bad seizures. So like there was very much limitations at that time where I was like, where I didn't know my body well enough,
mm,
right? And I didn't know what my limits were exactly. It took
mm-hmm,
me a while to figure them out. But there were a couple. Like, oh, being overworked is one of them.
mm,
Being stressed is a huge one. And not knowing how to handle that during that time was the worst part of it. So if I
yeah,
didn't know how to handle my stress and handle being overworked and how long I worked, um, it would just be a really bad situation afterwards. So
mm-hmm,
it took me some time to figure it all out in the work field and then kind of just balancing it all, right? But overall, um, once I got to know my body, once I got to know myself, it worked out pretty fine. It was actually pretty good.
something you mentioned, knowing my body and stuff. What are some, I guess, things you had to do to get to learn and understand and know your body?
So the thing is that I never really knew that I had to get to know my body like that. So a bunch of times I would like go to the gym and like one day I would go to gym and after the gym I just like pass out and I was like, why did I just pass out? I'm fine. And I'm like, okay, it's probably my body, probably the epilepsy. And sometimes I would like go a full day of just work and then go out with my friends right afterwards.
Mm-hmm,
And like I would just have seizures after seizure after seizure. And I'd be like, why is this happening to me? And I was like, because I didn't rest, because I didn't
mm,
manage my time properly or manage my body well, right?
mm-hmm,
And so honestly, learning it was just me going through doing different things,
mm,
doing just the most mundane stuff and not taking care of my body, and that's how I started learning about it. I had to
mm,
learn the hard way to know how to manage what I do now.
mm, mm, mm. I mean, it's great you understand your body now. And do you find, because I find people that like yourself that are so empathetic and caring for others, it might be difficult to be like, okay, this thing, I can't do this right now because of, I understand my body. Do you find it difficult navigating saying no and pushing back and helping people because that's also innate to you to want to help people?
So I love helping people. Helping people is like it's engraved in me. Like I just want to always help people. Um, Having to say no means having those boundaries and taking care of myself first, so then I can take care of them.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If I want to take care of them, I need to take care of myself first. That is what I learned, and that's how I apply it to my life now. So if someone asks me to do something tomorrow, and I'm like, I just did all this stuff today, do I even have the capacity to do that tomorrow? I would really have to think about it and said, hey, you know what? I would love to, but unfortunately, I can't. And then
Mm,
explain the reason. Like the reasoning is nothing to be ashamed of. I'll explain the reasoning and then know that my reasoning is justified because one day I will go back and I will help them when they really need it or when they just need to just talk, really.
mm-hmm. 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 Yeah. Okay. So, and then there's this whole part where you are a model. How did that happen?
I honestly think it's just God, to be honest. Or like it's I guess people believe in the universe, people believe in different things, but I believe in God. So I was actually looking up influencers because influencers started popping off where TikTok was a thing and it became really big. So I was like, how do people make money off of this? I really was like, I was just very curious.
Mm,
And I wondered if we had those in Toronto, right? Because I used to see them in New York and LA, never Toronto. So I started looking at fashion, and then I was like, do we even have like a fashion week in Toronto? So I looked that up, and I found that we had Fashion Art Toronto. When I found out we had Fashion Art Toronto, I was like, oh, I'll buy a ticket. I'll go see what this is about. And I started following some of the designers on Instagram, right? And as I followed some of the designers, I would comment under some of their stuff, just because I felt inspired, really.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then I think after that, one of the designers messaged me on Instagram and said, "Hey, would you want to walk for my show?" And I was like, "Hell yeah!" Like yes, I will. Like, because the way I thought about it was like, when am I ever gonna say that I got to walk for a running show? Like, this is gonna be the only time, right? So I said yes, and I was preparing for it, asked how to prepare for it, what they want from me, like different things, and
Mm.
it just kind of took off from there where I met other designers and designers would talk to me and then I talked to people from Fashion Art Toronto and all that. And it just kept going from there. It just kept going. And it didn't stop. I don't know if I wanted to stop. I don't think I do. I love making the impact that I do. I really do love this impact that I have in social media and in fashion in Toronto and like people that read my articles and like people that watch my Instagram stories and they see me working out and they're inspired as well. Like everything that I do somehow translates to some sort of inspiration and I love that. I love being an inspiration. But that's how I got into modeling, honestly. Just God called somebody else, asked me to be a part of their show, so I said yes.
And okay, so that first show, what do you remember about it?
Oh, I was so nervous. I was so nervous actually. I was like, where are we going? Is there a platform? Am I walking on the floor? Like, will I fall on these heels? Because the heels are massive. They were so high. I was like, I don't know if I can do this. So I practiced backstage and I met a lot of the girls. I met a lot of people actually. And I
Mm.
was like, and they were helping me out. They were giving me hints. They were just kind of just giving me tips because they've been doing this so much longer than I have. Because I've never done it. That's why. And I was like, okay, I think I have this. I think I'm good. And like the second the director told me go, I was like, now, now. And I took a deep breath, a little prayer, and then I just went. And it's not like I blanked out. I never blanked out, but I just did what felt very natural at that moment. Because
Mm.
I knew that she wanted something sexy and but also very like creative. And I was like, well, Kim, you're a dancer, so figure it out. Um, and that's exactly what I did. And then by the time I got off and I was like, what happened? Am I okay? Like, I need to see that. I need to see like a video of it. And thankfully I had two friends there that shot a video and pictures and I saw and I was like, wow, I did
Mm-hmm.
that. Okay. And I really had like I don't think I took it in that night. I
Mm.
really didn't. It took me like a little while to let that sink in because I had to talk to the designer after that and I said I hope
Wow.
I did okay. It was my first time walking. Also, I opened the show for her. Her name is Mish, by the way. She's so amazing. Um, and that was what I remember from that first show. I was like, I remember the hair and makeup and how it was backstage and how many people were there. And, I was like, I don't know. I was like, the designer, like the hair and makeup, be like, so what did she tell you? And I was like, I don't know. I thought you guys knew. Like I was like so oblivious and like I didn't know anything that was happening. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, I know I have to be back by this time so that I can get ready. That's what I have.
Wow,
So
I
that's what
can't
I
even
remember for that
imagine.
first show.
Yeah. And I guess so you've done a lot of shows since then. What was the last show?
My last show was Toronto Plus Size Fashion Week.
Okay.
And that show was very interesting, as in like I saw multiple people that are plus size, and they don't all look like me. So, you know what I mean. Plus size comes in different ways. I did not see a whole lot of people that look like me, whereas as in plus size, right? When I do fashion shows, I don't really see. I see a lot of girls that are either tall and skinny, or they're athletic built, all the women that were there and the men, they were all plus size. And it made me feel like inclusivity is happening. It's a now situation. And whether people are happy with it or not happy with it,
Mm-hmm.
it's a now situation. And things are changing in the industry. Things are really changing. We have a lot more to go, but things are really changing. And I was like, and the clothes were beautiful. They were beautiful. They were stunning. And I said, you know what? I'm very proud to be part of this. I'm very proud to just make it in because there were people coming from the United States to model, and and over like 200 plus people auditioned, and I
Wow.
got to be a part of it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful.
Mm.
So when I saw that and I saw all the models and how professional they were and how they couldn't carry themselves as plus size models, knowing that they're not ashamed, knowing that they were so proud of what they've done and who they are, I was like, I can learn a lot from these women and these people. Like I can learn so much.
Mm.
And I realized at like that point I was like, you're not done yet, Kim. You're not done. There's so much more to do. And you know that. It's about me being obedient and willing to do it.
Mm. Mm.
So that was the last show that I did.
Wow. I mean, I'm curious though. Are there something? So you go for, I guess, the audition, and then you're selected as one of the models. Are there things you have to do to prepare from that moment to the actual moment you walk out on the runway?
Of course, there's so much to do for me personally. There was so much I have to do. What is taking care of my body and exercising? Getting my skin right, so skincare routine, having my hair like done, cut, knowing how to take care of that, and my nails. There's also that because you don't want like really bad nails when the pictures come out and it's just not looking the best. And then diet on another hand, like I have to eat really clean. If I don't eat clean and I don't eat healthy, I'm going to feel sick and bloated during that day, and it's going to be a hard time. It's
Mm.
going to be a hard time. So from the moment I'm selected to the moment I'm there, those are the physical things that I do.
Mm-hmm.
The emotional part and the mental part that I prepare for is me saying, okay, Kim, you're walking this show. You know how many people are there. Are there tickets for your family and friends? No? Okay, that's fine. Yes? Okay, great. Who do I want to invite? And then I'm also thinking, like, eyes are going to be on you. You've done this before, but different people are going to be there this time.
Mm-hmm.
um, how are you feeling about that? What do you feel? How do you feel about the outfit that they're giving you? How do you feel about just being there this late, or taking care of your body during that show? Because again, it's all about taking care of my body so I can take care of others. Um, so it's a mental process that I go through, a whole mental process that I have to go through, and an emotional one too, because I'm like super excited, and then I'm like very nervous, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, and then I'm just like shocked, and then I'm like, okay, keep yourself neutral so that you can do the show, and then afterwards feel all the emotions you want to feel,
Mm-hmm.
right? You cannot go through this roller coaster of emotions before a show and then not be ready for that show mentally,
Mm.
right? So after the show I can feel all the emotions. Before the show, keep myself calm, collected, do what I gotta do, talk to
Mm.
my designers, vocalize anything that I feel like I need to, and do the job. Because to me, it is a job. And if it's a job, like everybody else, we go, we do our work, we go back, feel whatever you want to feel.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's how I think of it.
Oh yeah, another thing you do is work with Epilepsy Canada. How did that come about?
So that was interesting. So since I have epilepsy and like I was always someone that wanted to support people with epilepsy and make that awareness, I was looking at different organizations that work with people with epilepsy, and I found Epilepsy Canada, and I really do love them. They have different advocates, and I follow them on Instagram as well. So I was like, okay, that's something that I want to do. Like I do this right now. I do modeling, but like that could be translated into like awareness. And I said, why not? So
Mm.
I had a meeting with one of the people that do the recruitment for ambassadors, and I just told them, this is what I do, this is how I feel, this is what I support, and what I want to make a help you guys out in any sort of way. And I said, yeah, I want to be a part of this. This is something that I felt very strongly about because not a whole lot of people know um, what epilepsy looks like, what it doesn't look like, how to treat it and take care of it. And I learned that firsthand as well. Because I remember having a doctor that wanted to put me in an induced coma after a couple seizures. And I said,
Wow.
no, sir, I don't need an induced coma. I just need to sleep. That's what I need right now. I'm very tired. My body is tired. My mind is tired. And that's why I'm having seizures. Don't put me in a coma.
Wow.
That's what happened at a hospital that did not know about my seizures, that did not have my medical records, that just thought, you know what, this is the best bet. I said, sir, give me one night, one night. I'll show you that I don't need to be in induced coma. Just let me sleep for like one night. And after that one night, everything's fine. I didn't need to be in induced coma.
Mm,
And that's why I wanted to spread awareness on epilepsy. If I was in a coma, I wouldn't be here right now because they just wouldn't wake me up.
mm,
So see, that's why I do what I do.
mm,
And
mm,
that's why
mm,
I wanted to go to Epilepsy Canada and be like, guess what? This is what I do. I want to translate it into um, something that could spread awareness for great people that don't understand. And that's okay not to understand. But please, when someone gives you some sort of education, take it, read it, watch it, learn it, and then just go upon your life.
mm. Wow. Okay. Another thing, you do a lot of TV appearances. What was your first one? How was that experience? And how do you handle going on TV, especially on live shows?
Oh, okay. So all my shows have been, or all those segments I've been on have been live.
Oh,
Um,
wow. Okay.
all of it. Uh, so for Filipino TV, which is a network in Toronto, or I should say Canada, I reached out to them. I told them, hey, I'm half Filipino, half Egyptian. I defeat all beauty standards with Filipino beauty standards. I'm not skinny. I'm not pale. I have curly hair, not straight hair. And I ended up walking for one of the biggest designers in Canada. And then they went and looked at my Instagram and kind of just went through my feed. And they also found out I was an advocate for epilepsy. And so I didn't know what to expect, but I
Mm,
know that whatever that comes on my heart and my mind, I would translate it for someone that needs to understand or wants to understand. Um, so that was how I go upon all of that. When I go on breakfast television and they ask me to be a part of it, it's a whole process. That is a process on its own. I wake up at like 5 in the morning to get there. I do my makeup there. My hair is either already done or I do it before. And then I say a quick little prayer because God is like, I need it. And then I just go. I just do. I don't know if that makes sense, but I just do it. And then afterwards, I look back on what I just did. And I said, okay, I like this. I don't like this. And it's nothing to do with anyone else but me, like, and
mm,
what I did.
mm,
Right. And I was like, and obviously I take hints or like suggestions from the people on set or like that are there when we're right about to film, and I'd be like, "Hey, how does this look?" Because I always wanted to make it look as best as possible. It is
mm,
live TV, right? And so they're super helpful. They're amazing, and I always get very nervous before,
mm.
and until I hear my name, then it's just like a switch in my head where I'm like, "Okay, God's taking over. I'm just gonna do it.
It's time to
Whatever happens,
go.
happens." Because I need to accept, like, whatever happens, happens. I can't
Mm,
change that. I'm
mm,
not in control afterwards. I'm in control of the now part. So that is what I've learned to accept and talk about and really just go upon and be like, you know what, maybe next time, do better, Kim. Just
mm,
practice a little bit more. I don't know.
mm. You can't be that hard on yourself. Okay, I think, the epilepsy, modeling, TV, all those things, they kind of all gather in your social media. So, how do you navigate social media?
Ooh, that's hard. I'm not very good at it. There's that. Um, I take the shows I've done in order and I try to put them in order. There's that. And I try not to put them too late, but I try to spread them apart within the days. So I try not to do everything at one time.
Mm-hmm.
I like to spread them out where I know it's needed. So today I'll be posting something that is very dear to my heart, but I'm posting it for a reason today. And the reason is because of, you'll see, right? I'm not gonna say it out loud. But that is how I go upon it, and I choose what pictures very strategically because I also want
Mm.
to put reels as well, like Instagram reels or whatever, TikToks or whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
And so, because I always go picture reel, something along the lines of that, because I find that the reels capture that moment, whereas the pictures are like, they're more, they're me posing. So, like, it's more so staged, right? Whereas reels is like real time, real life. You'll see how people saw it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, and me looking back at it, being like, okay, I like this, I don't like this. Again, my own feedback. And then I'll post it for people to see, not just people for recognition. Like family and friends that can't be at the show, they also want to see it. So that's why I post what I post and what I post also. Um, and obviously there are some things that I have not posted that are in my portfolio because I just felt like it's not the right place to post it,
Mm.
right? Sometimes if it's not the right place to post it, it's not the right time. I think it's better just to have it in the portfolio. And I love the work that I do, and I love all the work that I do. But I also hold myself to a standard, um, due to my beliefs, my morals and values. Like as a Christian, I always want to be as modest as I could be. Am I doing a great job? I'm not convicted, so I'm pretty good. So yeah, no, I really do value that part in my life, and I really want to stay true to it,
Mm.
as well as saying, hey, does this also align with like being an ambassador for people with epilepsy though? Does this also align for that, or do you just want to look pretty at this point? Like that literally is like, oh, do you just want to show off, or
Mm.
do you actually have like a message behind it, right? Like, see, those are the things that I think about whenever I'm going to post, because I love looking pretty, but it serves no value unless there is something behind it.
Mm.
I'm very
Mm.
proud of some stuff, and I love it, but I'm proud of it for personal reasons, not like it's going to help somebody else.
Right.
And that's kind of how I navigate my posts and my feed, really.
Wow, thanks for sharing that.
Thank
It's
you.
always great talking to you, and it was great hearing you on the other show. But
Yeah,
I want
thank
to
you.
respect your time, so I'm gonna let you go with this question. You
Okay.
know, you've been dealt something very difficult, but you've, I guess, risen above that adversity. So, someone is in the audience listening, watching this episode, and they're like, "Oh, I'm going through something difficult." What advice would you share, and how the person can navigate that difficult or that adversity they are going through?
This is not the end. That's the first thing I want to say. It is like I've gone through some pretty hard things, like mentally, emotionally, physically, but it was never, I always had to remind myself, this is not the end. And if it's
Mm.
not the end, then it's the beginning of something different. It's the beginning of something new. And you're going to have to learn how to navigate through it. Change is good and change is difficult, but it's also necessary for you to grow, right? These adversaries that we face daily or someone faces daily, and as much as hard as it is, we also have to learn to accept it.
Mm.
Accept that this is the situation as of right now, but it's again not the end. It will
Mm-hmm.
change and it will differ and spread to throughout in a good way or a bad way. And I think we as humans are very emotional and
Mm.
react like very strongly towards certain situations, which is fine for a moment. But afterwards, you need to actually think about what you're gonna do. Come
Mm-hmm.
up with a plan. Say, you know what, okay, let me take care of my mental health right now because that's what I need to focus on. Find your priority and focus on that because
Mm.
that is the most important part. Again, if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of others.
Mm-hmm.
And if you need to take care of others, then you need to take like a step back and say, let me breathe right now. Let me breathe and then go back out there and do what I need to do.
Mm.
Those are things that I think about. And if you have any sort of religion, any sort of thing you go to, like as I'm a Christian, I talk to God. I literally say, God, I need you right now. If you have some sort of thing that you believed in, then go to that. If that is your source of comfort, go to that. But
Mm.
ultimately, at the end of it, you have to face it as best as you can and learn from it as well. There's always a lesson behind everything. And as much as that hurts to like hear, it's also very much true. So that's what I got.
Kimberly, thank you so much for sharing that. And thank you so much for your time and for coming to the
Thank you.
sanctuary today.
Thank you so much for having me.